I want to thank you both for coming, obviously, profusely. This is part 5 of our time production series. Really, really cool. And happy to have a couple first-time Hey Nonprofits live guests. And definitely we'll have you all on the podcast here in the future as well. But I like to start these conversations with a shout out. It's this new thing that we've been doing. And then we'll get into intros and all that stuff. And I want you all to introduce yourself. But Emily, do us a favor. Will you give your shout out, please, if you don't mind?
Absolutely. Shout outs are one of my favorite things to do. I've got a cheerleader personality, but so there's a bajillion and 5 people I could shout out, but I'm going to shout out my mentor, TK, who is an auctioneer also in Austin, Texas. Probably top 5 most amazing humans in the whole world, and just an awesome, awesome mentor to learn from and wonderful person.
I love it. I love it. We love TK. We've known TK for a long time as well. So it's awesome. Great. Like you said, great human being. So Lucas, do us a favor. We'll keep the ball rolling with the shout outs.
Yeah, since we kind of mentioned this before, I'll shout out Bobby D. Ellert. He's an auctioneer extraordinaire, connects a lot of auctioneers, is big into helping other auctioneers, as well as just a generous guy for nonprofit organizations and a resource. And, I think he's an inspiration to a lot of people in our field. So, hey, Bobby D, and hey, Aaron Ward as well.
Nice, dude. That's good shout outs. Mine's going to be a little baseball season has started. I'm a San Francisco Giants fan. I grew up across the 101 from Candlestick Park, so I grew up going to Giants games. So baseball season started, but it also I'm a big soulful, baseball, connoisseur type person. Played growing up and all that, and it's obviously springtime, so it's like spring breeds anew. It's baseball season. The Giants played the Yankees last night. They got absolutely drubbed, and it was on Netflix. Which, whoa, weird. But the kids are playing t-ball. It's baseball season. The Giants got going. There's 161 more games. Yeah, pretty stoked. Are you a Yankees fan, Lucas?
I go to the games.
Yeah, because of where you're located, just by proximity.
Yeah, by proxy. Yeah, you got to go to the games. I go see the Mets, the Yankees. It's a day at the ballpark or an evening at the ballpark is always memorable.
Cool. Love it. Good stuff. So yeah, it's springtime. Well, hey, that's actually a really nice segue into, it's obviously, thank you so much for taking the time, taking an hour out of your days in the middle of spring fundraising season. We're going to get into event timeline. This is once again, part 5 of this awesome 6-part series that Sandy put together, Time to Perfection. It's been really, really cool. And what I'm also very excited about is to hear your perspectives, because every panel, every guest that we've had 2 a week has had a different perspective. And we've gone down some really, really fun and really, really fruitful rabbit holes about timing and what it means for your live auction and pre-event and sponsors and pick up the telephone and all these different things. So it's been really, really good. Before we get into it, Emily, do us a favor. Introduce yourself, please, if you don't mind, your company, where you're located, all that good stuff for the audience as well.
Absolutely. Well, I'm Emily Preble. I'm a fundraising auctioneer and benefit consultant based in Austin, Texas. Storyteller at heart. I came from a journalism background, so I love to get into the weeds, talk to people, and then use my powers of extroversion for good on stage to raise a bunch of money for nonprofits. So that's me.
I love it. Lucas, please, from your mouth, sir.
Yes. Emily, also, I have a journalism background that's very interesting. I think it applies to working in events where you can walk around a ballroom and interview people and learn about what's going on, and then, become an authority on that ahead of the event too. So my name is Lucas Hunt, and I'm president of Hunt Auctioneers, located in New York City, Manhattan, to be specific. We work with about 115 nonprofits a year to help them increase their fundraising. And I've been doing this for 15 years. Absolutely love it. Like Emily, love diving into missions and storytelling. I am a poet, and my history is with language. So I love being able to use language in an economical way to say the most with the least amount of words, and hopefully inspire donors to give. So that's what we do.
I love that. That's great. Interesting that you both have the same background. I love that. So you're both linguists. So very, very cool. Because I fashion myself a wordsmith from time to time, or at least I tried to be over the years and what have you. Let's talk about that. It's interesting, Lucas. I actually want to piggyback on what you just mentioned about using words. and the affinity for the language and how that has bled into fundraising events and how, in particular, making sure, I think you were just talking about like efficiency or the economy of which you use your words.
Mm.
Talk about how important that is. I mean, honestly, that's a 30,000 foot view as far as this timeline piece, but that messaging and what have you. And we can obviously get into speakers and videos and all these different impactful things that we use with word and pictures and what have you. But talk about how important the brevity and, like you said, the economy of messaging has been for you over the years.
Yes. Well, like Emily said about being a storyteller, I think it's probably the number one trait of a good program, a good
Yeah.
run of show. There needs to be a narrative arc, a beginning, a middle, and an end. The never-ending story is not palatable when you're seated, at an event. So usually you put a timeline on it. You say 2 to 3 minutes. Let's go. Let's go somewhere. And I think with many things in life, having a limitation actually helps us expand our awareness of the potential of what the moment or what a thing can do. So for me, I guess a good story is like an airplane. It needs to take off. It needs to take you somewhere, and it needs to land. And if you don't close in time, I think it's almost like a live kind of wreck. You're watching things fall apart, and that those things that are falling apart are people's attention. So
Mm.
for me, the joy of beginning, having a middle, and having an end is just letting people feel that sense of momentum, and that we are going to stop at a certain point and give you back your life.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Great, great. And like, yeah, piggyback on that, Emily, and
Yeah.
the fact that you haven't been doing this for 15 years and what it means at the events. You know what I mean? Like what it means. Like you have a very particular skill set and history with this space as well now too. And what that means as far as telling that story at the events that you get to impart.
Right. And I think, as Lucas can probably testify, when you're learning to write, if a word doesn't move you forward, if a sentence doesn't move you forward, it can probably be removed. And the same is true for really snappy, successful event programming. If what's the point? If you cannot concisely articulate why do we have this section in our program, and that is something that resonates with a majority of our audience, let's take it out. Let's find ways to trim so that every single thing we do include in our program is really impactful and powerful. That, I think, it's really interesting to kind of see. Same thing in journalism, you have that inverted pyramid. What is our most important thing? How are we going from there? Event programming is similar in the sense of we
Mm,
need to have a strong why, a strong through line, and be
mm.
concise with the way we articulate that in our run of show.
I love it. I see your wheels turning, Lucas. Go ahead.
Oh, what's at the bottom of the inverted pyramid?
Well, remember in our journalism articles, we had to start with our most important, our lead,
Yeah, the
and
lead.
get going, your attention diminishes in the reader's world. So
Uh-huh.
if you save your most important nugget for the very, very end of an article, then you've already lost a majority of the people. So in the same way, I think there's event programming, and not to say we start with our most important thing, but rather we have to keep our most important thing at the top of mind
Yeah.
instead of burying it behind other, I won't say shenanigans, but other programming elements that maybe don't move the needle in our actual fundraising or non-fundraising focused goals.
You don't think a proclamation from the mayor is that important?
Listen, you're not going to get me on record talking poorly
Politicians
about
don't
our
give
mayor.
politics in a microphone. It's like rule number 1, 2, and 3.
We hereby recognize.
No, it's so good. Um, I'm fascinated pre-event. I'm also fascinated and enamored with the work, how much work you all do with consulting pre-event, and how imperative that's becoming, how imperative it's always been, and how
Mm,
imperative it's going to be moving forward. I don't think that's going to change, right? Because of how
mm,
much guidance and encouragement and event fundraisers are wearing, we call it, 14 different hats and need this. They need this information, the information that you're sharing today, for instance, as well. But on the consulting piece, and let's just keep going down the language path, if you don't mind, as far as dictating that message pre-event. Lucas, you start. Talk to me about like what's most important. I mean, we can get all the way down to like the nitty gritty. It's like, I don't believe in having your live auction items a surprise. I am
mhm.
obviously quite vocal and I believe in no surprises at all. Just tell everybody everything. So I'm really bad with presents. or what have you, but you get my point. Like, how are you consulting and encouraging different organizations and how they prep attendees, supporters, bidders, using language, being concise, letting people know exactly what to expect pre-event?
Hmm. Well, let's talk about what AI can't do.
Mm,
It
love
cannot
that. Yeah.
compute and aggregate a collection of people's experiences, ideas, lived experiences, and ideas. Let's call that wisdom. It cannot aggregate wisdom and then share that appropriately in a moment with emotional undertones, with sensitivity. So I think, Trevor, what you're getting at, and maybe what the storytelling gets at for me, and how we would consult with a nonprofit organization to be successful in a moment to tell their story, is back to what Emily says about the why, the who, what, why, when, where, but especially the why. Why are we here? What are we doing? And what's the best way to illustrate that? And it tends to be in a narrative arc or a storytelling, and it doesn't have to be in the beginning, once upon a time. It can be more subtle. But I think what I look for with our clients in the beginning is saying, hey, we've got this amount of time, 20 minutes for first course. We've got a 30-minute dinner break, and we're going to come back and we have 20 more minutes. Where are we going to situate the most impactful storytelling that leads to a climax? What's a climax? For me, it's an emotional connection. Uh, what can what can't AI do is bring people together in one emotional space, not a physical space, not a mental space, but an emotional space. And so for us, talking about language, how can we bring people there, tell them a story? We're not trying to make anyone feel anything or make anyone do anything, but we're inviting them to have an experience. I think I call it the theater of giving. We're
Mhm.
inviting them to enter this theater of giving and have an experience that is an emotional. Hopefully, they identify with the mission. Hopefully, they want to make a difference, and then hopefully they want to give. So for me, that's a vague way of saying, this is how we're going to talk with an organization to set up their program, set up their storytelling, and eventually lead into their fundraising. And yes, be very clear about it ahead of time. This is going to happen.
Emily, language, yeah, in that consultant phase and what you're setting up folks to do and understand some best practices and things. Like just once again, just kind of just put an exclamation point on what Lucas was saying as well, if you don't mind.
Totally. I think, one, if you're a nonprofit and you're consulting with an auctioneer who has been in the ring, done 1,000,005 events, talk to them about your run of show early because we know what's going to be successful and maybe where a pitfall might be. And unfortunately, if that run of show, first of all, if you're writing your run of show in pen, you're already off to a tough start. This is a flexible, living event architecture that needs to be able to move and stretch with your event and your donor base. So that's number one is utilize your consultant. We're going to have thoughts. Of course, our client is going to have the final say because more than likely they know their audience better. But we have been in these scenarios enough times to say, I wonder if we might try this instead. And
Mm,
so, one, utilize those consultants because that's what they're there for. Two, I agree. In terms of language, one of the things I'm really, really passionate about is what story are we telling not only during the event, but in the entire breadth of what this event represents before, during, and after. Like you said, I don't think it should be a surprise what we're coming here to do. I think everybody should walk through those doors saying, I know what is about to go down and
Yeah,
I am excited to be here.
yeah.
Not necessarily teasing, boy, am I excited to go to Mexico. Hopefully I win, but rather a story that, like Lucas said, connects at an emotional level.
Mm.
People give to people. Let's invite people to know the actual beneficiaries of our cause. And if you are an organization that's saying, well, we don't have a great story, but we've got heck of a metric pool. That's not a great story. I
Yeah.
could tell you, 1,000,005 ways that we've fed 18 bajillion people or done blah, blah, blah statistic. And
Mhm.
yet that doesn't move me emotionally. So
Mhm.
when you're thinking about what story do we have to tell, like Lucas said, beginning, middle, and end, you have to land that plane in a way that makes people feel something. AI can maybe churn out some metrics for you, but they cannot read a room and they cannot connect on that emotional level. So when you're thinking about your story, think about that. What people are we introducing to you, and why should our audience care about them? That's to me where I put on that investigative like lens and saying, okay, let's go utilize those journalistic skills. Let's go find the story. Let's go
Yeah.
talk to people and say, gosh, that moved me and that might move others. So that was, kind of a spray shoot of all the language
No,
things, but
no, it
just some
was
things to think on.
all poignant and taken on all counts. I want to play devil's advocate and push back a little bit on the AI thing, and for a reason, not because I want to get frothy. And not push for me. I'm not. Yeah, I'm
We're
not
gonna
saying
whip you.
it's not going to be in the search terms, y'all. Right? You get my point. But okay. But let me tell you our story. So we've had the good fortune of having on some brilliant, and this conversation is no different. So thank you. We have had great technologists, authors, some very AI forward folks. And you know what's really, really interesting about the AI folks? They've said the tools are here so we can focus on the people. Because I keep hearing you talk about connection, people, human, AI. What AI? Let me tell you what AI. Your words, Lucas. Let me tell you what AI can't do.
Mm,
Agreed on all counts. And we just have got once again, we just hit the jackpot. We've had the most prolific minds about AI tools for nonprofits come on the webinar and the pod. Amazing. And I'm so grateful,
Oops,
right? And
I
I've
didn't know
learned a
that.
lot. No, no, no,
Lucas
no,
and I are like, who said all that about
no.
AI? Not us.
But Lucas, they're in lockstep with us. Okay. And
Yeah.
I got another ditty about events too that I'll tease too. But that being said, um, once again, the words of a friend of ours, Nathan, said, the tools are here so we can focus on the people. What can AI do? Actually, I'm just playing devil's advocate just to get the conversation going as well. It's like, what can AI do for the organization to help them save time, get the message more concise? What are you, if you're doing any kind of advice on how to, it's like what's the passage is like, okay, do it again, once again, half as long. Right? You know what I mean? As far as talk about
Hmm.
that and just your shared experience with that, if you don't mind. I thought it'd be an interesting thing to cover.
Hmm.
Lucas, go ahead, please.
Emily, do you want to go first?
Sure.
Emily, you go ahead, please. Sorry.
Here's my take on
Yeah.
what AI can do for us. AI can sharpen what we provide it. So if you give AI something that is quite lackluster to start, you are going to get a slightly less lackluster final result. Versus if you utilize AI as a way, and this is my 2 cents, by the way, let me caveat that all of that.
Sure.
If you utilize AI in a way where you are giving it your strategic brain, your why, your best product, it is going to then sharpen what is already good to a level that is even better. So, for example, here's our run of show. Here's what worked for us last time. Do you see gaps in this? This is where we've struggled. Maybe we get in a different eye on that through AI. Or if you've never written a script for your founder who's going to open the event,
Sure.
right? If you say, here's the gist of what we want them to say, they give you something else. You can then go refine it, work alongside your AI companion, right? But if you say, hey, do this for me, all of it, you're probably going to get something that feels perhaps a little more middle of the road.
Might be
So
half-hearted.
I would say
Hmm.
you get in, you get out what you put in for AI. That's my experience. That
Love it.
said, I think there's a lot of like operational tasks that AI is really, really helping. I know that in terms of like the day to day mundane, the less emotion we're relying on AI to garner for us, and the more like plug and chug, that's awesome. So, any of those category of things, I think that's a really great spot for AI.
I'm looking for the AI bless you button on the service.
Yeah, bless you, Lucas. I
Lucas.
Pardon me.
see right
Yeah,
through
hey,
that.
listen, I wasn't being cheeky. I'm not being frothy. I do have a point. I thought it would be a thoughtful conversation just to go down this path just for a minute. But yeah, anything to add to that, please?
I'm not.
In your
I don't have
experience.
a lot of experience with working with this with our clients yet. I think that there's a lot to be seen. I'm
Yeah.
actually just gonna uh, plead the fifth I don't think I know what the advantages or disadvantages are
Sure.
in terms of application. I would suspect that it may help some people in preparation if they lack the knowledge.
Hmm.
It may help them gather knowledge, which could be important. I know that there are a lot of people in roles. You may, if you're watching this and you were like just hired a month ago and you have a gala in a month, like you may not know how you're going to execute your organization's gala. And it may be appropriate for you to, consult that. I do think there's a wealth of human knowledge around organizational work. When I say organizational work, I mean mission-based events, mission-based organizations that are fundraising. So I think it's pretty important to, like a journalist, question the people involved, get a sense of what the culture of giving is like within your organization, try to research the history of it. Um, there's such a specificity to a gathering of people. Yes, there are universal things going on. If you put a really good comedian up in front of any given gala crowd, you're going to get laughter. If you put a really good auctioneer up in front of any given gala crowd, you're going to get a lot of money raised. So there's some things that are going to work out there because you're working with human nature. But for me, the vital statistics are of a story that are going to come out during a program are the qualities that are derived best from talking to people and asking people, hey, what went right, what went wrong last year? Who are we as an organization this year? What's important to us? That's less abstract. That is very much more from the heart. And I think when I look at a program with a client, I say, all these events are similar. Don't talk too long,
Yeah.
like don't talk too long. But most importantly, organically, who are you and what are you about? And talk about that, come up with that. So I'm not sure how AI can substitute or embellish that. But if you are watching this and you're like, shoot, I don't know a lot about this organization, I would say go ahead and start asking people questions and listening to them, because that's kind of how
Yeah.
I've been able to learn a lot.
I love that feedback. I thought you were pleading the fifth.
I was, but then well, there could be
You're
advantages,
English, dude. Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought
there
you were
could be
pleading.
advantages.
No, hey, it made me think of something really cool. We had a guest on, Alexandra Katzenstein. I got to give her flowers, from the Boys and Girls Club of San Leandro. She started her role and had a gala in under 90 days. And her words to me was,
Wow.
it was so good.
Yeah.
She said, I didn't have time to focus on the money. I didn't have time to focus on the metrics, so I focused on the people. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. That's
I
so
was,
wonderful. And
I
you
was
could
like, whoa, so
you
good.
could you can see how, and I see it all the time because there's so much turnover in the nonprofit world, a beginner's mind.
Shoshin. Yeah.
Yeah, is, and that is what Emily and I are many times. We'll get called up a few months before an event and say like, left toe syndrome, right? Never heard of it.
Yeah.
But we've got to get in with left toe syndrome,
Yeah.
and so, um,
You
and if
can't
it's
just
only
watch
a month out,
for homework.
what's
Yeah.
that?
You can't just watch My Left Foot for homework. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I could go on YouTube and I could go on their website, but it's where will you gather your information, and what's, Emily, you mentioned too, is like, what's that hook, what's that thing that's going to really get people to want to support left toe syndrome. And I'm sorry if I'm making fun of something real because I just made that up, but
You're
it
all right.
could be a thing, right? I
Yeah,
broke my left toe when I was a kid, so that I can joke about that.
I get
And
it.
Yeah,
Emily, please, please.
to
it
piggyback as
hurts.
well, like we are focusing, you said, Trevor, that your AI expert says AI frees us up so we can focus on the
The
people.
brightest minds I've ever met have said that.
Bingo.
Yes.
And I agree. But that's the humans, the people, are focusing on the people. Let people focus on people and
Yeah.
let AI focus on the stuff that's keeping you from the people. So I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that's the biggest difference is if you are trying to connect with a human on something, you're going to have to go connect with a human on something instead of letting your chatbot 360 go connect with a human for you.
Totally.
So that's my take, is that the human stuff requires that human empathy, consideration, sensitivity. And the AI stuff utilize that for the administrative operational things that are taking you away from sitting in the chair and being in community with the person you're trying to understand.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, and sorry, please don't be mad at me for I'm not headline chasing, I promise you. I'm not attempting to be frothy. Uh, with the topic, it's funny. I was speaking to a technologist about this, and that had created some learned language models for and different platforms and applications for thousands of different organizations. I want to hear your feedback about this. And unprovoked, completely unprovoked, he knew that he was, talking to us and, on a platform that's focused on events and auctions and education and supporting event fundraisers. Completely unprovoked, and was not doing it to put a smile on my face. After all of the research and all the data going over thousands of different organizations and tens of thousands of events, the
Mm.
greatest determinant that anyone was ever going to become a major giver and or lifelong supporter was attending 3 consecutive events.
Hmm.
Fourth, there was no difference if it was a sixth.
Mhm.
3 consecutive events was the greatest determinant that anyone in attendance was ever going to become a major giver and or lifelong supporter. I thought that was one of the greatest cheerleading moments for what we
Interesting.
do. Yeah. So,
Well,
how does that strike you, Lucas?
well, I think one of my mentors, Kathy Kingston, always called the gala as the golden gateway, to bringing in bringing in donors and raising funds. But I've also heard from a client that their largest donors don't attend their galas. They
Outliers.
just,
No, I'm
yeah,
joking.
yeah.
Joking.
But no, I think that's even more important reason to keep events moving, so that guests feel like they're a part of something that's gonna be finite. I think it's important for the organization to own the clock on event night, and if there are red flags that a program's gonna go off the rails, it's important to see that ahead of time, right? Not wait until you're in the room, so otherwise they won't come back, Trevor.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Emily, how does that strike you? And then, yeah, anything else to add, please?
That sits, and I think that makes a lot of sense. And to piggyback on what Lucas said, the number one determinant for if somebody's gonna attend an event 3 times in a row is if they enjoyed attending the event first time and then the second time. And
Yeah.
that doesn't happen when you feel as though you're a guest and you're like, okay, like let's keep it moving, because then you're going to find something else to do,
Mm.
versus when there's a hook, when there's a why, when you leave that event saying, boy, what a good way to spend an evening or an afternoon or what have you. Yeah, you're going to sign right back up.
I
So
do.
I think that there's storytelling that can hook people. I think that's what keeps the second and third time feeling fresh, feeling true to form, but also not something like, yeah, I already heard this generic speech from last year, right?
Right.
It's something
Yeah.
that, like, I've never heard that story. I didn't know that person was moved by this kind of organization and this kind of work the way that they
Mm.
were. That's a great way to keep things hip happening, but also like get people in, get people out, let them enjoy every single second they spent at your event, and that will keep them coming back,
I love
in my
that. I love
opinion.
that. We have a question from the audience that was
Oh, lovely.
pre-submitted before this, and
Lovely.
it's a good question. Lucas, I'm gonna hit you with it first. Suggestions on grabbing the full attention of the audience. It's a wide lens question, but it's a good one. Um, Suggestion on grabbing the full attention of the audience. This is where I see most people struggle.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Which brings up this phrase which I used to um, aspire to, which I think is actually now a myth: crowd control.
Oh,
I don't think crowds get controlled and you can just walk up and command the room. I mean, number one, it helps if you're famous, because if you're famous, you can just walk on
yeah,
stage and everyone will listen to you for a few minutes anyway.
yeah.
Um, but I think it's important to start off with a little humor.
Okay, cool,
Yeah.
cool.
Not always appropriate when it's a very, when it's a more somber occasion. But if you're doing a live auction, I think that is kind of a fun and game moment. So it's lighter. I think that's why we have live auctions at galas, because it's,
Mhm.
it's playful. And if we're talking about starting off an entire program, right? Because you're like, how am I going to keep this program moving? I could have an MC who's light and humorous and keeps it moving, not to add filler, but to keep that. An MC could even keep it tighter. Um, but I think a lot of organizations have what I've read about this phrase called the curse of knowledge.
Mm,
Like, oh, our organization's been around 50 years. I've been working here for 20 years. How am I going to condense my remarks to 3 minutes? There's so
mhm.
much to say.
Mm.
Don't say it.
Yeah.
You know,
You don't
yeah.
need to throw up on people. Yeah.
You say it best when you say nothing at all. Like, take your 3 minutes and waste 30 seconds. Just be generous and gracious and show people that, you're in the room with them rather than speaking kind of robotically or just talking at them. So, yeah, I think if you come in with a sense of humor, that helps lighten the mood and it lets people kind of let their hair down.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah. Gives them the ability to do that. Yeah. The agency to do it. Uh, Emily, your suggestion on grabbing the full attention of the audience if folks are struggling with that.
I think I have a lot of thoughts on
Yeah.
this.
Okay.
One, I'd say there's a large part of who you have on stage. Obviously, we hope to be captivating and attention grabbing. I agree with Lucas. The beautiful thing when people are laughing, you know what they're not
Mm,
doing?
mm,
Talking over you. They're
Mm,
yeah.
laughing. They're with
Yeah.
you. And it's immediate connector, right? The other thing I like to do when I am in charge of grabbing the attention of the room is I don't like to talk to or at the audience. I like to talk to the audience. I want to go talk to you and call out somebody in the back of the room. And maybe I'm walking around, but if you feel like at any given moment, you might be part of the program, you're going to be paying a little closer attention. Now, either that's because you want to be part of the program and you're sitting on the edge of the seat, so excited to be involved. Maybe you're like other friends I have who are like, please, good night, Irene. Do not talk to me with that microphone. But either way, you are alert.
yeah.
So I think that's a great way to do it from just in terms of a person who's on stage being a spokesperson of your event. To also speak to Lucas's MC point, my mentor TK said in the same way you can get smell blind, nose blind when you're, smelling 100 candles or perfumes, you can get voice blind. So if your auctioneer is also tasked with saying, "Hey, sit down. Hey, pay attention. Hey, we're going to be doing this. And then I'm like, "Hey, would you like to donate $1 bajillion?" It's white noise. I am less motivating because you've already kind of learned to adapt and tune out my voice. Okay, so that's all the people on stage. Here's one more thing. I think there's a lot that can be said about capturing people's full attention. It's hard enough when they have nothing else going on. Don't give them something else to pay attention to. For your fund to need, for example, stop service. Do not have somebody saying, "Would you like some extra pepper with that?" When we're trying to go move you, right? So there are some logistical things we can also orchestrate that just ensure that people have nothing else to do but be fully immersed in the moment we have worked so hard to create. Those are my 2 cents.
Love it. Love it. Love it. I got a great question as well to hit you both with. A pre-submitted question. We have done a fund and need for years, and it is really dragging down the program with most of the larger gifts being seeds versus new donors. So we are looking for ways to not lose the revenue, but also not drag down the program
Mm,
with an awkward paddle raise slash fund
mm.
and need. Lucas, thoughts about that?
Yeah, maybe create a match at one of those higher levels to gamify the situation, so that you're just trying to get people to um, collaborate, and cooperate to try to achieve something. Like bring them in and invite them. I would also and look at the language that you're using during, because it should not be boring. It should be like, hey, you can help 5 people like you just heard. If we've laid down that nice storytelling, we can refer back to it. It's almost like um, an adventure that we've all had together. Like, oh, we've heard so many great stories. We've seen a nice video. And so as auctioneers, we can do callbacks, and say, at $10,000, you can support someone like Jennifer, who you heard from tonight. And you can, inspire others to have life transformations. So I mean, I think the thing there is in the pre-planning is maybe reevaluate that story and what story you're trying to tell or what you're trying to get at, because it shouldn't be a drag down. It should be an uplift moment. It's actually a release of pressure in a way, because everyone gets to see live, like, the change making a difference, you know. So that's what I would do.
Emily?
Agreed. I think I second everything Lucas said. If your panel raise feels boring or dry or awkward, we probably don't have enough rapport with our audience and we probably don't have a great story. You know, if you think about things that are very easy to tune out, if we go back to the airplane analogy, I'm watching them buckle the seatbelt and I'm nodding and I'm smiling. But, you know, in the event of an emergency, don't tell Delta Airlines. I'm not certain I know every single next step because that story doesn't hook me. It's a here's what's going to happen, here's what you do next, et cetera, et cetera. Versus when I hear about Jennifer, when I feel connected to Jennifer, I'm paying attention. And then, like Lucas said, I have the release of pressure. I've seen this cause that I care about that is causing some sort of problem in the world. This is my chance to act on it. We should be excited to do that. So build rapport with your audience. Sometimes even a great story, things don't go according to plan with your paddle race. The only reason it's awkward is if there's pressure on your audience when really if we develop other goals beyond we need every single person to raise their paddle for 10 bajillion dollars. Okay, what else? Is it everybody leaves feeling great? Those are goals we can make sure we accomplish all the time throughout the event. And it won't have that sense of, well, we didn't hit our goal or we didn't accomplish what we wanted to with this event just because our paddle raise was awkward. There are gracious ways to move a program forward if things go awry. And that's because we're connected with our audience. We're not talking at them, we're talking to them. Great, we'll move right along. You know, so those kind of things.
Love it. Love it. You see that that other listener submitted question popped up as well. That's going to be apropos for what we're talking about right now. What are your opinions, Lucas? We'll start with you on the best way to deploy a $100,000 match gift for a paddle raise fun and neat portion. Do you come out with it all? Do you break it up? What do you advise to the audience?
Good question, audience member. Very good question. Congratulations on finding a $100,000 match. First of all, that is not easy.
Yep.
3 ways to deploy your $100,000. Maybe 4. So 3 serious ones and 1 unserious one. The first way is as a overall match. Let's say your paddle race has only ever raised $66,000. And this year you have all the right people in the room. And you've done a lot of work. And you have a couple $10,000 people pre-secured, a couple 5s. You can take that $100,000 and say to everybody, when you start your paddle race, we have a $100,000 match tonight. And maybe we've never raised 100,000, but tonight our goal is to do it. And this $100,000 will cover the first $100,000 that we raise. So that's option 1. Match everything you raise. Option 2, it could be your lead gift. You may raise more like $1 million in your paddle race, and that $100,000 will be the first level of giving. So you'll say, actually, we have a lead gift tonight of $100,000. How many of you were able to match it with a $100,000 gift? So that's option 2. Option 3, you can use that $100,000 match at a certain level of giving. Say, for instance, the $10,000 level, and your auctioneer can announce at the $10,000 level, you can support people like Jennifer who have had life transformations and do the generosity of an anonymous individual who's so generous, but so anonymous. We have a $100,000 match. So if we can get 10 people to raise their paddles at $10,000, all those gifts will be doubled. To reiterate, so the serious ways you can do it, you can use it to match the entire amount raised for a paddle raise. You can use it as a lead gift, or you can use it as a match for a certain level of giving. And then the 4th way, which is unserious, is you can take that money, steal it, and run off to Mexico.
That money would go a long way with that exchange.
You could probably hang out for a couple years until the federales show up one day
at your door.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then it ain't going to be good because you'll be staying in Nuevo Laredo. And I don't think, and that's not how you want to run a nonprofit.
No, you
No.
don't want to go to
Yeah.
Mexico with that money.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I got you. I love
You
Mexico too.
can go to Mexico with an auction package that Emily and I can sell you for much less. Keep your job.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We're going to come to the live auction. Emily, talk about that how you would deploy that $100,000 match.
No notes. Those are the options. I would seriously consider Mexico and maybe, think hard about that
Yeah, yeah,
option 4. But you'll know
Yeah.
options 1 through 3. You'll know based on your audience what feels right for you. For example, if you think $100,000 is you're like, "I think that should be our top level of giving." Well, if your next level is 10K, that's a big old jump, isn't it? So think about your audience. Think about, what makes sense for your people, and you will or talk to your wonderful consultant, and they're gonna say, "I would deploy option 1, 2, or 3."
Yeah.
yep, yep. And I also think that you're going to obviously, we've said this quite a few times in this episode. Ask questions. You're
Mm,
going to get lost in the data a little bit, hopefully from previous events. I'm assuming, and ask some good, pertinent questions just to see what's
Yeah.
happened. I mean, it's not necessarily the perfect roadmap, the ideal roadmap for what future generosity is going to look like, but you can get lost in the data a little bit. I
right.
sound.
Yeah, you can, Trevor. You can get lost in the data. And I think working with a professional fundraising host, auctioneer, consultant helps you distill that down because a lot of organizations don't have time to crunch all that data. And there's a
Yep.
lot of data where an auctioneer is going to, kind of like a good chef, we're not going to use 75 ingredients in one dish. Like,
Right.
we're going to find the 5 best, freshest ingredients to make your fundraising dish, so that it's palatable. And I think that distillation, is very important.
Let's get in the weeds even further on this topic because it's a good one. It's one that comes up a lot about how to deploy these matches properly. So a lot of organizations are hopefully they're getting $100,000 gifts, and that's amazing. Like you said, Lucas. So congratulations, right? Um, what are you advising that they do pre-event? Pick up the phone and talk to the top supporters from last year, the folks that gave at the highest levels, and let them know that we have this. I mean, are you doing that, or are you going sight unseen night of? Like, how are you coaching up organizations? Emily, you start. How are you coaching up organizations from a consultative perspective, like to pick up their most powerful fundraising tool they have? And for folks listening, it's your phone. So, how are you nudging organizations to set the table, so to speak, for
Totally.
success? Yeah,
I think going in blind is very risky. I always try and recommend you have an anchor donor, you have a conversation that you feel good about. So that way we can ensure momentum at least one level that is important to our fundraising goals. Now, Lucas and I, we are good at reading rooms and we know. I think we might have capacity to even ask a level above or whatever it might be. You're going to have had those conversations. But yes, I'm a big advocate for a pre-committed bid. And how you go secure those pre-committed bids, I would be I would recommend asking these folks, well, listen, when you give to organizations that matter to you, how do you like to be thanked and engaged? Do you ever read those generic emails? No. So don't go expect your top donor to appreciate that. Yes, I am pro go out to coffee. I am pro go for a walk and talk. Be in relationship with your humans. That's outstanding. And at the very least, a phone call. And, I work with my clients even down to we'll do a mock phone call. Some people
yeah,
don't love it. I'm happy to be a fake donor for you. Sure. Yes, I have $1 billion. Tell me more, right?
totally.
Easy. I'm happy to do that. I have scripts I give people.
Yep,
There are asking for money. Sure, we do it with a microphone all the time, but it's not always easy. So,
not.
giving folks the tools on how to have those conversations always important. But yes, be in relationship, talk on the phone, go meet in person. If you can't do those, what about a letter? I mean, this is all different things beyond the email. I am not a big fan of the email to
The email
those.
alone. Yes, gotcha. Yeah, absolutely. As the lone wolf.
Yes.
Lucas, let's talk about how you engage folks and teach them how to engage the folks that maybe were the biggest givers from last year, or if I'm totally off, I'm not attempting to project upon you, but yeah, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, this all, filters through the development and leadership team of nonprofit organizations. So when I'm consulting with you all ahead of the event, and we do get a program together, and we know what we're going to do there, and we know what the story is, because you really need that elevator pitch down, I think, before you go to some of your larger donors. And it helps to say, we have a great program, we're doing new things, it's going to be quick, and would you be a part of it? And so I kind of serve just as a coach, as well as a consultant with our clients, so that giving them a clear sense of what the mission is, what the fundraising moment is, if there is a live auction, asking them, hey, talk to your supporters and let them know, pre-market these auction lots. It really is going to be a matter of everyone getting on a similar page. This is the program. This is what we're fundraising for. These are our auction lots. And then going out and disseminating, sharing that information, so that I guess what I'm trying to say is, in the beginning, we need to come up with a short, quick, easy game plan so that that can be disseminated.
Yeah.
Because if I'm talking to leadership and they can't sum up what we're doing at the gala in 1 minute, they're going to lose their donor. Like Emily said, you can't just type it out in an email with 4 paragraphs and expect them to read it. When they
Right.
call them up, you got to be like, hey, Jim, you work in finance. I know you're really busy. I've got you on the phone for 5 minutes. Here's what we're doing at the gala.
Boom.
Strong storytelling, professional auctioneer, starting the paddle raise off higher. Would you be willing to come in at X level? Last year you gave this. So I think those prep calls are so important, because then it gets all members of the team, not just the event planning team, but the development team, leadership team, on the same page. Like, we're going in swift. This is tactical.
Yeah.
This is one night only.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got to be Jedis in there. And I think that helps, because you will hear back from organizations like, no, $100,000. We don't have that in our wheelhouse. Okay, what about 50? What about 25? And to be very realistic about it, because we don't have, everyone's got other jobs to make the event work. So I think it's good to have a provisional plan, go in and share that, and then you can, like also Emily said, it's not written in ink. It can be changed. Suddenly we have 100,000. Okay, here's the game plan for that. It changes.
Yep.
Yeah.
First Jedi reference on Hey Nonprofit.
That's it.
Awesome. I'm glad
Big.
to
Gotta
be
be Jedi.
Yeah, big Jedi guy myself. So huge. Love it. Shoshin has already been done, as a matter of fact. The beginner's mindset has already been taken.
Really?
Yeah, isn't that wild? Yeah. Yeah, but good. Otherwise, I would have gave you the props then, man. But
Okay, I'll pull
first
something else
Jedi
out.
reference. That's really, really good. Hey, shameless plug, but the Hey Nonprofits Media Company, these live episodes and the podcast as well, and HGA Fundraising, we're here to protect events and auctions. So we have to actually get to some auction questions as well. And you both mentioned
Yes.
live auction. We had a couple questions that were submitted as well. Hey, Emily, what are your opinions on the best way to deploy pardon me. Okay. Hello. Sorry. We did that one. Although I prefer less items for a silent auction, we usually end up with about 100 silent auction items for 500 or so guests. Is there a recommended number that you prefer? Emily, you go.
I think typically it's probably, 100. Silent auctions are give or take. Everybody's going to have a different stance on silent auctions. but
Totally.
I
What's
would say
yours?
silent auctions are a lot of work for a little bit less payout. I say this so tentatively, but
What's your-
really, silent auctions are not my favorite. I think there are other ways to raise revenue depending on the committee that you have working on your silent auction. I know folks who have run the silent auction, they arrive at this event haggard beyond all belief. They're like, yeah, I've been collecting Chili's gift cards for 40 days. I'm like, right. And you could have focused on people instead. So
Yeah.
for me, I would say it's different per organization. Generally, there's a formula to it in sense of, I believe it's like 1 to 3 guests, 1 auction for 3 guests, but that might not even be right. But generally, when I'm consulting with people, I'm like, is this our most efficacious way to spend our time? Or are there other revenue generators that enable you to go make this a rock solid event without a silent auction or with a very, very precise silent auction? But Lucas, what do you think?
Love it.
I like 5 to 6 live lots, and I
Good.
like staying out of silent auction business myself.
Gotcha. Is that geographical, do you think?
Possibly. But the live auction lots, I think it's just an attention span. I know I can do 5 or 6 lots in 10 to 15 minutes, depending on the bidding. That to me is a palatable time for people to have enjoyment and to then move on and have dinner or whatever they're going to do. For the silent auction, it's just it's so variable that I'll just listen to organizations and give them a little feedback on it. But
Cool.
yeah,
Love it. Emily, on the live auction, Lucas
Mhm.
has said 5 to 6 is kind of his sweet spot when
Yeah.
he's working with different organizations. Your sweet spot, please.
I'm 5 to 8 a little
Good.
bit. Maybe that's naivete, but I think
Mhm.
we have a little bit generally speaking, I can still get through that in about 15, 20. So it's a little bit less, it's a little bit more than Lucas's, but 5 to 6 is a real, real nice number. 8 is absolute max. We have to trim after that for sure.
Totally. Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Less is more. That probably sounds a little unpopular coming from someone in my position, but it's true. Yeah. Hey, closing question. What's one strategy you're trying in 2026? Could be anything from a fundraising strategy, game, and I kind of want to go down a game path a little bit, like
Hmm.
a new strategy or a revenue enhancer, or you're putting people in the room to collect data, like some previous guests have done and what have you. But what's one strategy you're trying in 2026 that you're pretty pumped about? And that you think the outcome's going to be good, Lucas.
Hmm. Emily, you first. If
No,
you
you
have something,
are. After you.
What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing?
I I don't have a one strategy game plan for this year. Like a new. You said game, right, Trevor?
Well, I was going down that path. I mean,
Yeah.
we could widen it and say strategy if you like, but literally something new that you think that the audience should take with them and absolutely consider. Because a lot of folks are averse to change. Oh, we've always done it this way. Oh, we've never done that, or we're not going
Yeah.
to get to the rest. What something like it could be a
Oh
paddle
yeah.
with an incentive at the end at the
Hmm.
$150 level or what have you. Something along those lines. What you working with, Lucas? Go.
Emily, you got it.
Let's think about this. Okay, here's new revenue enhancers are tricky because to our mind, we already know
Yeah, it's
so
all been done before.
it's really
There's
tricky.
nothing new under the sun,
That's
Trevor.
why this is a good question. Get
There's
out
nothing
there.
new under the
Yeah,
sun.
that's
So
not
here's
true.
what I'd say. For example, let's say you've seen the heads or tails game, and we all know what that is. Perhaps you're a pet focused organization. Let's play cats or dogs, whiskers and paws, whatever it is. That's a teeny, very, very,
But it's
age
branded, and I like
category.
that, and it's
Yeah.
different. And I
Where
think
can we get
Yeah.
differentiation is stronger than
interesting?
competition. The folks that go to multiple events, absolutely.
Yeah.
Another thing I've seen be very fun is when you have like there was an event I was at recently where every time somebody won a bid in a live auction, it was a Mardi Gras themed event, and there was a real trombone band that followed them and came and said, "Congrats, go to Mexico," and when the Saints go marching in, and that
Nice.
was fun because again, talk about engaging your audience. Now all of a sudden, not only is that guy going to Mexico, but he just got, a Mardi Gras parade at his own party. That guy's the man. Give me some of that. I
Yeah,
like that activity. I will say when we're talking about punchy run of show, boy, you gotta make sure your folks are ready to rock with that.
yeah,
Don't let it hold up the live auction, but it's a fun way that if you can get it in and get it out, go celebrate the people who are raising their paddle. I think that's awesome.
love it, love it. Lucas,
I got my game. I got my game. I'm
come
gonna
on it.
my game for this year is to say things to get people to spit up their wine.
Oh, cool. Yeah, fun,
Yeah,
fun. Yeah, I
that's
love
my
that.
game.
I
I
love that.
really,
Is
I
that a
really
game you
want.
play on purpose or a game that happens on accident
That
for you?
means you're
I'm gonna play it on purpose this year.
yeah.
I really
Gonna get
want to
messy. Gonna get
get.
messy, but yeah.
I want people to lose it. I want people just to have to, wipe up the mess after I get off stage.
I love it. I love it. Hey, no, it's great. You brought up a good point probably 45 minutes ago, Lucas, too, is that we were just kind of talking about with new and you mentioned folks are going to this, to the same event, and they're also going to a lot of similar events,
Yeah,
right? So I think that like this is just good, thoughtful discourse about making it once again different, but not for the sake of just being different, but being
right,
for the sake of okay, we don't see the same thing at every single event.
right,
The trombone playing band or what have you is cool. It's exciting. And it's not like the shop down the street. God bless them. Right. All due respect to the shop down the street, but it's
Mhm.
different. And I think that also creates fun, excitement, emotion, and wants and gets and creates a situation where folks want to come back. Right.
Oh, okay. I got
Cool.
something for you then, Trevor. Here's a game.
Come on now.
Have you had any LeBron James references come out yet?
Don't know yet. Good or
Okay.
bad? Go ahead, please.
So here's the game. Galas are like basketball, right? They happen every night. It doesn't change. But for me, the game is let's go out and play our best, because
Mm,
that's not always easy, and best looks different on different nights. So I think part of my job is to work with organizations so that they go out and tell their best story and represent themselves in their best way, and show up 100%. To me, that makes it fun, that makes it different and unique, and it never gets old. And no matter how many points you score, I think my game is being very process focused,
uh,
meticulous leading up to it, working hard, training hard, practicing hard, getting ready. And then when you show up, play your heart out. That's the game
uh,
for me.
wow. Are you a LeBron guy?
I just wanted to throw in a reference that wasn't
Yeah,
used, maybe,
I
but
got
yeah.
you. I got
I
you.
mean,
Well,
he's
and it also,
inspiring.
yeah,
So,
I think it's cool because Lucas, you do that thing before you start every auction, right? Where you get the chalk and you throw it up in front of. I've seen it. It's great. It's awesome.
Yeah,
Throw
my tuxes are just
it.
covered in dust.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. I also getting a little cooler too. I also get the impression that you're talking about doing the intangible things as well. I think full circle, and a lot of points a myriad of points that we've made about relationships and people, where there's going to be a lot of things, silly
Mhm.
sport reference, that folks do that are very, very impactful that don't show up in the box score.
Mm.
I think so. Yeah. I think galas are greater than the sum of their parts. And when you look at individuals that make a gala good, a lot of them don't know what they're doing. They're
Yeah.
just coming in and like, oh, we're producing a program. What do we do? And auctioneers, we do know what we're doing, but we also know we don't know at certain times because there's a lot of improvisation. So I think it's, again, Emily talked about relationships, but diving deep, what human knowledge, what experience do we have? How can we bring all that together to make magic happen? And that to me is the kind of the real joy of doing this.
I love it. You know how pro auctioneer we are, and how much we believe in the work that you all do.
Yeah.
Um, that was a great conversation. Before
Thanks,
we
Trevor.
go, and
Trevor,
thank
I
you
have
again.
one other point I want to
No,
say. I thought
please,
of a new one.
absolutely.
I think if we are going to gamify something new in the auction world, let's gamify how creatively and emphatically can we say thank you after the event? How can we make that the biggest next step? Because I think so many folks are like, oh my gosh, that almost put me in the grave organizing this event, but you are not done yet. And how do we go say, here's the most creative thank you we can deploy for all the people who showed up for us.
Mhm.
So that would be, if we're going to gamify something, make that your next best thing.
I love it. I love it. Hey, let's not game around. Hey, do us a favor. Tell the audience, Emily, where they can find you. Obviously, we have oodles of contact information. They're going to be in the show notes. Folks are
Mhm.
going to reach out to you on LinkedIn, email you. We can put your telephone number on there if you like. Easiest way for folks to find you, Emily, go.
Yes, I'm on LinkedIn. Come check me out on my website. And, I hesitate to give my phone number out there, but if you want to call me, beat me, that's just fine by me. I'm always down to talk fundraising and nonprofit stuff and, ideate on chalk throws and all that good stuff. So that's how
Love
you
it.
can find me.
Love it. Lucas, please do the same for the audience.
You can find me in the Russian Turkish bath on Fulton. This steam room is like 200 degrees. It's very hot. So just be careful. I'm on the old LinkedIn as well, but I'm at Lucas, Lucas, at huntauctioneers.com with the email. And you can also reach out to Trevor. Call him at like 3 a.m.
Mhm.
Yeah,
and he will give you my information.
you
Yeah,
know I'm
same
awake.
here.
You know I'm awake. You know this job doesn't sleep. You know that, right? Hey,
Yeah, man.
and quick shout out to Sandy. Thanks so much for putting this together. Yeah, and
Thanks,
for
Sandy.
keeping us on the rails. And I want to do my last shout out before we say goodbye to John Tenfelder from Rosecrans, serving the Chicago area with behavioral health services. Congratulations, John. We're gonna be reaching out to you. You won $1,000 in HGA bucks for your
All
next.
right.
Yes, and a one-on-one coaching session with my best friend and business partner, Jason Ledlow.
Love it.
Mention though, everyone, please do us a favor from us. Reach out to Emily, reach out to Lucas, thank them, keep the conversation going. with them. And they're both, as you can tell, very agreeable folks to talk to and approachable. So do us that favor, reach out to them. Can't thank you all enough for coming. Thank you so much to the both of you. This is your invite to come back. And I hope to talk to you and see you both again very, very soon. Enjoy your day. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Trevor. Thanks, Emily.
Thank you so much. Great to talk to you both.